Morning, mateys. Welcome to some Kari Zev. Man, I could not get through that intro without laughing because it's just silly. But yes, welcome to some Kari Zev. Yeah, we got some Kari Zev Voltron action for you. If you don't know what Voltron means we're getting our commander down and we're assembling as much stuff as we can stick on there and make our commander as big as possible or give them really high power and toughness. Make them a really big threat. So that's what Voltron is, and that's what we're going with the deck right here. Is Kari Zev walk the plank. We're going to try and make our opponent's commanders walk the plank, see if we can't close it out and make them fall into the ocean. But yeah, let's start off with Kari Zev. So, with Kari Zev, she has First Strike and Menace. Whenever Kari Zev attacks, create a legendary 2/1 red monkey creature token named Ragavan that's tapped and attacking. Exile that token at the end of combat. So basically what we're doing is we're looking to get down Kari Zev. We're looking to stick some equipment on there, and then we're going to have her Ragavan monkey swing in and start attacking too. I'll kind of cover what we got as far as the monkey package goes. I'm going to save that for the end of the video. But yeah, one of the main things that we're looking to do in this deck is put a bunch of equipment on Kari Zev. So that's going to be the next thing that we're going to cover. We're running a lot of swords in here. We're running a lot of utility equipment in here. Let's kind of go through the works. We're running Masterwork of Ingenuity. So it costs 1. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any equipment on the battlefield. So let's say we have Sword of Fire and Ice out there. We can get down the Masterwork, have a copy of it, and then have 2 Swords of Fire and Ice so she can be running around with 2 swords. That's always a good one. We're also running the Collar. So equipped creature has Death Touch and Lifelink, and it's really good. You know, we can get Kari Zev up to 6-7, 7-8 sometimes. And actually, excuse me, one second. We can get Kari Zev with that Death Touch and that Lifelink. That'll really kind of turn the game in our favor with that Lifelink. And plus Death Touch, First Strike, kind of kills everything that's going to be blocking over there. We're running Uzama's Jitte, just really good value piece of equipment. Sword, sort of Animus right here. So whenever Kari Zev attacks, we're going to be able to search our library for a basic land. We got our protection and Swiftfoot boots and yeah, little hexproof act. We have a lot of stuff that targets Kari Zev, so I'm not running Lightning Greaves in here to give her Shroud because we want to put stuff on her. And we're also running some of the card draw equipment. Whenever it deals combat damage to your player, you may draw a card. Let's say that somehow she gets double strike, we're going to be drawing 2 cards. We're also running Mask of Memory, the same thing. You may draw 2 cards, discard a card. Running Hero's Blade. Actually, this kind of goes over here. Well, it counts for Kari Zev. I'll put over there for the monkey package. Gorgon's Flail. Once again, keeping with the Death Touch First Strike to kind of get rid of any threats that are going to be blocking. We've got the Strata Scythe right here. So it gets +1 for each land. And we're just running mono red in this deck, so we can exile a mountain and give her a pretty big bonus. You know, turn 4, turn 5. Just giving her +5 is pretty solid right there. Quiet as Spike, once again, Death Touch, and then if she gets in unblocked, our opponent's going to lose half their life rounded up. Running Loxodon Warhammer, so she's going to get +3 and has Trample and Lifelink. That Trample is going to be really important in this deck right here because we can have all the swords in the world, but if they just have Chump Blocker for days and we can't get that Trample damage, we're not going to be able to get that commander damage in there. Just because this deck right here, it's more of a dual commander deck, but we're trying to win with commander damage. That's what we're going for. So having Trample off Loxodon Warhammer is really good. Also running Grafted War Gear because we want to stick as much stuff on there, and we don't care if whenever it becomes unequipped she's going to die because more than likely it's a kill spell. So that +3/+2 and then something with the Loxodon Warhammer on the back end. Pretty solid. I think, let's see, we're running Champion's Helm. So equipped creature gets +2/+2, and as long as it's legendary, it's going to have hexproof. So it's another way for us to give her hexproof. Tinza, a really good card for the deck, really good. So she's going to get +1/+1, and as long as she's legendary, she's going to get +2/+2. And then as long as as long as the creature's red, it has trample. So Kari Zev is C, all of the above. She's going to have all those. She's going to get a +1, +2. Because she's legendary, and then because she's red, she's going to have trample. So, really good artifact in this deck right here. Running 3 swords in here. Sword of Fire and Ice, Protection Red, Blue. And this is also really good having these swords in here because, you know, depending on what we're playing against, we can completely negate our opponent's removal spell by getting some of these swords down. Sword of Feast and Famine, we're going to be able to untap all of our lands, maybe get some of our mana rocks down on the second main phase, or cast some of our, we have some spells that allow us to get an extra combat step, so getting Sword of Feast and Famine on there, we can untap our lands, make them discard a card, and then get an extra combat step. Running Sword of Body and Mind, mainly just to get those wolf tokens. I like getting those wolf tokens, and protection from green and blue, that's pretty good right there. I think that is it for the equipment. So we've got the Voltron aspect right there, we have the equipment. So the next thing I'm running in the deck is the stacks effect, or stuff that we're kind of putting up to make it hard for our opponent to attack us or kind of tie down their mana. I don't like to play a lot of oppressive stuff sometimes, but in a deck like this it actually really works. So we're running Silent Arbiter, so no more than one creature can attack each combat and no more than one creature can block each combat. Really good as far as just sticking as much stuff on Kari Zev and getting her to swing in. And then the Ragavan token is going to get around the Silent Arbiter clause where only one creature can attack after that. We're also running Smoke, so players can't untap more than one creature during the untap steps, which is good for us because we're just looking, we really only have one creature out there, and that's Kari Zev. So let's say our opponent's playing elves or something and they swing in with a bunch of elves, they're only going to be able to untap one creature, kind of as a way for them to kind of tie them down. We're also running Circle of Flame, so whenever a creature without flying attacks you or a planeswalker deals 1 damage to that creature. Once again, we're just trying to keep all those low to the ground creatures from swinging in, nickel and diming our life total away. Mana Web. Mana Web is really good in this deck. So whenever a land an opponent controls is tapped for mana, tap the rest of that land. So let's say I got like a 15-minute video out against the I think Thrasio and Taima, and it's kind of like a Super Friends type deck. So if you're playing against a control deck with Kari Zev, you can get down Mana Web, and they're going to do anything on their main phase on their turn. Most of their lands are going to get tapped from this Mana Web, so it's a really good card for this deck. We're also running Crawl Space, so no more than 2 creatures are going to attack you each combat. This is really just a way for us to bottleneck. Let's say our opponent gets a bunch of big creatures out there, just kind of bottleneck it down into a couple stuff. And then if we have Kari Zev with First Strike Death Touch, we kind of keep our opponent from swinging in. We're also running Invasion plans, so all creatures block each turn if able. The attacking player chooses how each creature blocks each turn. Once again, if we have some First Strike Death Touch, we can have everybody block Kari Zev, deal enough damage to kill everybody, and then kind of have the board wipe from there. So I didn't get to cast Invasion plans, but yeah, it was a pretty fun card in the deck. Running Goblin Spymaster, so at the first strike at the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player creates a red 1/1 red Goblin creature token which says creatures you control attack each combat if able. So this is another way for us to kind of get the board clear so we can swing in with Kari Zev and get in that commander damage to close it out. So, and most of the time, we can deal commander damage quicker than they can kill us at 40 life. Now, if they've got a commander, they can kill us certainly with commander damage. But if they're trying to kill us with creature damage, get our life total down to 0, just having them swing in, we can usually get commander damage quicker than they can close it out for us. We're also running Key to the City. Pretty good card in this deck. Discard a card up to 1 target creature can't be blocked this turn, and then whenever it untaps, we can pay 2 and draw a card. So we can make her, make Kari Zev unblockable, and then on the untap step, we can pay 2 to draw a card. Kind of a way for us just to kind of cycle our hand. Let's say we're not hitting our equipment pieces as much as we should. We can just even target her at the end of turn and discard a card and then draw that too. Also running Dolmen Gate, so prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control. So basically it's going to allow us just to swing in and not worry about what's going to happen to Kari Zev, so pretty good card. On to the next, we have the Pump Effect. So we're running Bestial Fury. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Then, whenever an enchanted creature becomes blocked, it gets +4 and gains trample until end of turn. Once again, we stick it on there. You know, it's 3 mana. It probably could be a sword in here, but it's really nice having the +4 ability because she's going to have First Strike, so it should be able to take care of any big creatures that they have out there, especially with some equipment on there. Also running Madcap Skills. This is just another one to give her +3. She is a 1/3, so getting Madcap Skills on there as a 4/3 is a really good way to kind of pump her up and make her a pretty big threat until we can equip some of our equipment on there. I'm also running Temur Battle Rage. A target creature gains double strike until end of turn, and then if we can trigger Ferocious, which is not that hard, that creature is going to gain trample. So another way for us to kind of push some commander damage through. I did at one point, we do have Kari Zev's expertise in here, so I got to fire Kari Zev's expertise off and then fire Temur Battle Rage for the free cost, so that felt pretty good. Also running Assault Probe. A target creature gains double strike. Pretty simple. And they're also running Blazing Shoal. So you may exile a red card with a converted mana cost X from your hand rather than playing the mana cost. A target creature gets +X until end of turn. So let's say we're swinging in with Kari Zev, we're getting really close to combat damage, or we're tapped out for some reason. We can exile one of. We don't have that high of converted mana cost in this deck, but simply usually just if Kari Zev has double strike, giving her a +3 or +4, +5 type effect will be enough for us to kind of close the combat step out, especially if they're not thinking that we have something like Blazing Shoal in the deck. Alright, so that's the pump effects. And then our backup plan. Let's say Kari Zev gets obliterated into next Tuesday. She has her wooden peg. She has an iPad. She's been sent to the command zone so much. We have 4 other creatures that we're running in this deck that will be backup plans. So we have the Battle Master right here. She has haste. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is female. When she has haste, whenever she enters the battlefield, we can attach all equipment on the battlefield to it. So basically, we're going to be able to suck all the equipment, put it on her, and she has haste, and we'll be able to swing in. So let's say we had a really nice Kari Zev commander damage going. Somebody kills Kari Zev, we can simply cast on turn 5, or if we have some of our mana rocks out quicker, we can cast her, and then all of the equipment is going to go onto her, and we can make one really big creature and hopefully close it out that way. If anything, then we'll get our Sword of Feast, our different swords up and running, kind of get those combat triggers going, and dig deeper into our library. We're also running Prophetic Flame Speaker. So Prophetic has double strike and trample, and then that trample is really key in this deck right here. And then whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library you may play it this turn. So simply just putting one piece of equipment on Prophetic Flame Speaker is going to allow us to exile the top 2 cards of our library. Let's say we didn't hit the land drop for the turn, we can play that land, or that we hit one of our pieces of equipment or one of our stacks effects, we can get that up and running with Prophetic Flame Speaker. And then once it has trample, you know, with all the equipment on there, it's pretty good. Keeping with the Battle Master effect, whenever we have Armory Automaton, so whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may attach any number of target equipment to it. So basically, yeah, once again, we can just stick all the equipment on there, and I love the art on this one, man. It's so cool with like all the different arms. Reminds me of the I think General Grievous from Star Wars. It's just, I really get that feel, so it's really cool. Plus, it captures, like, seriously, we've got Kari Zev, and at the end of the game, we may end up with like 4 or 5 pieces of like equipment on her, and it's just funny to imagine her like trying to like walk the plank with all these swords. So I feel that Armory Automaton really captures the feel of that. And they're also running Kazul's Toll Collector. This guy, dude, look at him. He looks like he means some business. 0 activated ability. Attach target equipment you control to the Toll Collector. Activate this ability only anytime you could activate. You could cast a sorcery. So this is another way. He doesn't have haste, but it's a way for us to get him down. Let's say Kari Zev gets killed or destroyed. We can just start for not instant speed, but for 0 cost, we can start equipping all of our equipment onto him, and then have another threat for our opponent. So, covered the pump effects, the backup plan, onto the extra combat steps. Yeah, you gotta have a pirate's life on this. This is not extra combat, but this is kind of in this category. We're running 5-alarm fire. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, put a blaze counter on 5-alarm fire. Then remove 5 blaze counters from 5-alarm fire. Deals 5 damage to target creature or player. So we've got Kari Zev swinging in. We've got Ragavan swinging in. That's going to be at least 2 fire counters that turn whenever we're dealing combat damage. And then we have something like Prophetic Flame Speaker dealing double strike, or we give Kari Zev double strike. We'll get into spots where we can get a lot of these flame counters on there, and then start dealing 5 damage to our opponent, or maybe we need to blast a goblin token or 2. But yeah, I love 5-alarm. So I got in during Return to Ravnica, and 5-alarm fire was one of my favorite. Yeah, I built like a little red aggro deck with it, and it's always had a special place in my heart. So to find like a home for it in one of my commander decks finally, it's pretty cool. Onto the next one, we're running Aggravated Assault. It's an enchantment, so we're basically trying to play a really low to the ground deck, getting it down for 3, and then getting into a spot to where we can pay 5 mana, untap all of our creatures. We're also running, it's good to get it down turn 3 and then have that activated ability on there. It's really nice for later game. But it's not recorded, but I did play a game where we had 5 mana up and Sword of Feast and Famine. So with Aggravated Assault, it's an activated ability, pay 5, untap all creatures you control after this main phase. There's an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. So we have that on the battlefield. We activate it on our second main phase. We have Sword of Feast and Famine. So whenever an equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card and untap all of your lands. So basically, if you can get Sword of Feast and Famine on the battlefield, get a little Aggravated Assault on the battlefield, you can just basically keep getting combat steps. I did it in one game, and I don't know. Felt pretty good. I usually don't like to go for like loop combos like that, but yeah, man, fitting on theme with the pirate theme. We're also running Seize the Day. Untap target creature, not all of your creatures, target creature. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. So, this is a really good card in that most of the time we have so much stuff on Kari Zev. Let's say our opponent's going to, let's say we've got 5 commander damage and Kari Zev is at 6. So they're going to allow this commander damage to come in. We can swing in, they're going to go to 11 commander damage, we cast Seize the Day, and then we untap Kari Zev, swing in again. It's a really good card just because we're going Voltron with Kari Zev. And then the flashback, we're running a lot of mana rock, so we could actually flash it back after we cast it and close it out with commander damage. Also running a Relentless Assault, so untap all creatures that attack this turn. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase, pretty on par with what we're already doing. And they're also running Fury of the Horde. You may exile 2 red cards from your hand rather than pay its cost. Untap all creatures that attack this turn. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase. You get the picture. So we're running, about 5 or 6. I think it's 5. 5 cards that allow us to have the extra combat step, and then stuff like Fury of the Horde will allow us to, let's say, Kari Zev just swinging in on turn 2. There's no blocks. We can kind of do it real quick with Fury of the Horde early on and kind of get that quick commander damage. Then get into spots where we have Lockstone and Warhammer, give Kari Zev trample, and kind of close it out right there. And I saved the best for last, and that is our monkey package. Yes, we're running a monkey package in here. So we're running Mirror Gallery and not Enter the Infinite. That'd be pretty crazy in Kari Zev. Running Sundial of the Infinite. And so what this is going to allow us to do is, this is very, very Magic Christmas Land, but if you don't have them in the deck, you can't do it. So, running Sundial of the Infinite, so for 1 mana, activate in the turn, activate this ability only during your turn. So we can activate it anytime during our turn. We're also running Mirror Gallery, so the Legend rule doesn't apply. So we do all of our stuff main phase, we swing in, get Ragavan onto the battlefield, and then at the Ragavan, at the end of combat, there's going to be a trigger to exile Ragavan, so you just activate Sundial to keep the monkeys on there. I wanted so bad to get like a monkey video for y'all, but I did not get one. But yeah, I really enjoyed playing Kari Zev, so hopefully one day I'll get you a nice little monkey video with Mirror Gallery and Sundial of the Infinite. So yeah, miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so I'm definitely running it in here. Now for the rest of the monkey package, the more practical monkey package, we're running culling. So basically sacrifice a creature, put a charge counter on it, and then for 1 mana sacrifice it and draw a card for each charge counter on there. So before that trigger goes on the stack, before we exile Ragavan, we can activate culling, sacrifice Ragavan and get that counter on there, then cash it in for some card draw at some point. So that's another way just to get a little bit of extra mileage out of those Ragavan tokens before they get exiled. We're also running Psy. I think that's how you say it, Psy. A quick creature gets +1/+1. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach it to it. So let's say we have Sword of Fire and Ice on Kari Zev. Ragavan comes in. This is going to get equipped onto Ragavan, little monkey with a little swinging in hot. So I can't help but imagine him shanking somebody. We're also running the rest of these enchantments are going to fit on the theme. So Stormrider Rig. It's functionally the same thing except it costs 1 more, +1, and then whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you may attach it to it. Also running Ronin War Club. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, attach it. It gets +2/+1. And we're also running Hero's Blades. A quick creature gets +3/+2. Now this is important because whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield, you may attach it to it. So it has a high equip cost of 4. We can swing it with Kari Zev, have Hero's Blade on the battlefield for 2, and the next thing you know, we're going to turn that 2/1 monkey into a 5/4 swinging in, which is enough to kind of get into a spot where, let's say, Kari Zev gets killed. We can do enough Hero's Blade damage with the Ragavan to where we can back it up with Prophetic Flame Speaker or Armory Automaton, something like that. But yeah, so we covered Voltron, equipment, the stacks effects, pump effects, the backup plan in our creatures, the extra combat steps, and the monkey package. So yeah, it's fun to have a deck tech with a monkey package. But yeah, that's Kari Zev in a nutshell. I got some nice videos for you. I've never really built a Voltron deck like this where it's like kind of cutthroat commander damage aggro, so I've really enjoyed it. And if you're thinking about building her, go for it. I don't know how practical she would be in a multiplayer setting, but as far as dual commander, she's a lot of fun to play, and it's just really fun to see if you can close the game out that way. But yeah, I think that's it for the video. Guys, if you enjoyed it, like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.